we need to keep our word with ourselves. And I think this is important. I can't speak because now I've been on and off with the subconscious. I used to be heavily into affirmation or not affirmations, subliminals, right? So this is when I was like 15 years old and I was purely like, oh, the subconscious mind runs 95%. Like, yes, the subconscious mind does exist. It is real. That's the most I know. Do I believe it has as much influence as I do now? No. And even at 15, I knew when I saw subliminals to grow wings that it was. I mean, I tried. No, I'm kidding. There was one called "Become as Fast as the Flash," though, or something like that. Um, let's just say I am the Flash, so it did work. But no, I used to be heavily into subliminals, and I guess it's just because I like the concept of the fact that you could just play some audios and fix whatever's going on in the background. But if for those of you who don't know, it's basically when there would be music, and under it would be these layered affirmations that you wouldn't hear, but would kind of like slip in your subconscious mind. Now, some people have issues with this. Like, for example, if you just said, well, the best way to be more confident isn't to listen to subliminals, it might be to go out and do XYZ thing. But then some people might be like, well, if you can't go do that thing, you might need the subliminal. So, long story short, subliminals work for, I mean, a lot of people. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who it has worked for. A lot of people who maybe it hasn't worked for. I was kind of just like in the middle where I just like listened to them on and off. I probably didn't even stay with it long enough, but I do believe there's something happening in the subconscious mind, right? Which is what I'm talking about here. To go back to my main point, which is we have to keep promises with ourselves, because even though we don't see the subconscious, and I honestly don't, again, it's hard to notice something that is like a blind spot, but yeah, I clearly think there's something happening there, and we don't keep promises to ourselves. In the words of, I think it's from the Atomic Habits book, that it casts votes to a person that we don't want to be, right? Um, so I'm making this because I'm just starting to take this more seriously in my own life about when I say a thing. Again, it's not saying that you should be an absolute maniac when it comes to some kind of failure. And again, you have to realize if you eat good for an entire week and have like a piece of chocolate, that's not necessarily, it doesn't all go downhill after that. But I just find it weird that we have this, whatever internal, again, I'm speaking from my own experience, but I imagine I'm not the only one out there. We have this internal dialogue with ourselves that is something that we can justify our own choices, or we can be self-destructive and it wouldn't mean anything. If we were to externalize this voice, or if this voice was instead a friend, like, I know if I had someone around me 24/7 who was extremely like-minded, they could stop me from making a bad choice, simply by being there, or by actually telling me, like, don't do what you're about to do, don't eat whatever food, don't skip the gym, whatever it is. Yet, when it comes to our own mind, that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like we think, because it's just us in here, that there's no consequence to these actions, maybe, right? That, like, there is no, I guess the way I'd put it is, if there was an audience or a friend or someone else, we might act another way, right? Especially, like I said, if they're like-minded. Like, if you're two people you're on a mission, and you're eating right and you're doing the right things, and then all of a sudden you slip up, would that necessarily happen if you weren't caught in your own head? This is why a lot of the times, like, I like to speak out loud, which is, I mean, maybe sounds totally normal to some, maybe insane to others, but there's so much power in externalizing thoughts, because you can get trapped in your head and believe what your mind is saying, until you just say it out loud. And then it's like, do I want to do that? Right? Like when you feel like you want to skip the gym, but maybe even just saying it. Like, I just don't feel like going to the gym today. Like, maybe that saying that statement out loud makes you realize, like, oh, wow, it is really a want. Like, I'm just like, I don't feel like it. But the ability to just take it out of the brain, right? That's a big thing. Because there's pretty much no time, at least for me, that I'm not thinking. Like, there's always something happening, right? And I imagine most people are like that. And being able to just say it, it kind of brings it. I feel like I'm really clearly articulating this poorly, but I'm gonna like regroup here. I hope that point came across, because I think I'm just looping circles around the same point. But how do I want to like put a bow on this? Because I mean, the lesson is clearly that we need to listen to our promises we make to ourselves. How about we start off by actually making the promise? I think a lot of the times I won't actually make a promise, and it's because whatever word you wanna call it, right? I think it's mainly because you know, if you know you're eventually gonna break it, and you don't want to break it, so you just, yeah, it's not. I never promised myself. I never made a rule with myself, right? But say it out loud, write it down, somehow externalize it. It cannot be this like in your mind. You're like, I'll go on a diet, and then like, because the same brain that just told you you're going to go on a diet is going to tell you to go off the diet or something, right? So if you write it down, there's no rejecting it, right? If you go off the diet, right? Because again, it's like, it's not really a yes or a no. It's not like a binary. But still, if you go off the diet, if you have it written down, there is no arguing with the words. You wanted to go on a diet, and all of a sudden you didn't. Or let's just say, for a better example, I will go to the gym every day. You don't go to the gym every day. If it's written down, there's no arguing. You wanted to go to the gym every day, and you did not go to the gym every day. So externalize it. Admit to yourself whatever promise you want to keep, and don't hold back, right? Like, a lot of the times you might hold back because you're like, I can't go to the gym 7 days a week. But that's part of it. That's like, can I make that promise? And again, if you know you can't keep it, if it's something that's clearly like way too hard for you to maintain, then take it back a few steps. And that's the thing, is like, don't go big. Start with a promise that you can keep. If you know, okay, there's no way I'm making it 7 days a week, then do 3 to 4. Because what you don't want is to set this goal of like, I'm going to go every single day, and then you just fall short, and you still do good, but you feel like you fell short, which is obviously not good for like, oh, like you still could go 5 days out of the week and you're still upset, right? So admit it to yourself, don't make it too big, and do the thing. Like, commit to whatever promise you made to yourself. Because I do believe this stuff builds up subconsciously, right? Where you will have more, and that's what I think the ultimate goal is self-respect, right? If you walked around with this, internal dialogue that was so healthy, right? That you're just confident. It's like having a good friend around 24/7, that you're aware of who you are, you know who you are, all these good things. I think that only comes from having this deep sense of self-respect, and like, I know who I am, and I do what I say I'm going to do, right? And think about, like, I don't think the energy can be faked. I think you can try to manipulate and try to emulate that, but I don't think it can actually happen. I think it actually requires work. I think you have to be the type of person who does what they say they're going to do. And like I said, you can try to fake it, but why would you do that anyway, right? Because then you're going to feel even more of a fraud, because then in your own mind, you're going to fake it, and your brain's going to be like, dude, you might be fooling everybody else, but you're not fooling me. I know who you are. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, we all can't lie to ourselves, right? We've seen every move, every action. So there is no, like, we're trying to impress everybody else, we should be trying to impress ourselves, right? Where if we put on this act where we're like, oh, we're going to be confident for everybody else, we're going to be confident for this. It's like, dude, if your own brain is telling you, I know you're not like this while you're doing that, like, what the heck? You're doing it to put on a show, but then you're left with your own thoughts. And it's like, you should be, everyone's working the opposite way, right? Where they're trying to put on the show for everybody else. Why don't you not make it a show? Why don't you make it real so that it's for yourself? And then you don't, then everything else becomes effortless, right? So I hope that makes sense. I hope that was summed up pretty well. So yeah, try it with one thing, right? Whatever it may be. Make some kind of promise and just try to keep it. And again, you don't have to do it for what? Actually, just start for like a few days, right? Be like, I'm not going to do this for a few days, or I will do this for a few days, and commit to that thing. And don't worry about results, right? It's not, I'm going to, get, absolutely shredded or anything like that. It's like, no, I'm just going to go to the gym, right? Or I'm just going to, and again, I go with fitness examples because it's pretty common, I would say. But take whatever your example is, whatever thing you want to remove or whatever thing you want to add. And just be like, can I get a small win like even making these videos, right? Like for me, it's like, can I make a video a day? And I think I was doing that for a while, and then I had a day where I didn't do it. But today I made 2 videos. So it's like, you know what I mean? So yes, it's like I kept that promise to myself every day, and I won every day. And all of a sudden, no, I lost, right? But then I came back. I did it the next day. I didn't let the previous loss do anything to me. And then I made 2 videos, right? So stacking these small wins, so it's making these promises that I keep to myself. Like just treat yourself with more respect, right? Because you wouldn't do that to somebody else. If you had a friend come to you and make you some kind of promise, you would have probably more respect for them. You wouldn't let things slip as easy. But a lot of the times when it comes to ourselves, that isn't really the case, right? Because again, we think there's no, and I say we think, but like, because there isn't, but there's no audience, right? But we're the audience. We are the doer. We are the performer and the crowd at the same time. And you can't lie to the crowd. You're in front of the crowd 24/7, doing whatever show it is you're doing. But at the end of the day, you can't lie to the crowd, right? So hopefully that was a banger analogy. But ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, I hope this video was helpful to somebody. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Couch Thoughts. I want to do more of these kind of rant style videos, but obviously there will be trigger videos in here, just random video ideas that I have that I think will make for good videos as well. But yeah, thank you for listening. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next video. I also just realized the lighting may have been bad, but it is way too late to go back now. And I'm keeping this promise to myself about making a video. And obviously, I don't like, especially with these types of videos, it's kind of hard to fake it, right? Like if I were to have to refilm this, I guess I could, because I could still do my little rant, but it just feels a little, it's just not the same. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. And with that said, I will catch you in the next one.